You're about to learn the mystical truth of the law of reversed effort. The more you try, the more you resist. In these ancient teachings, you'll discover how to stop pushing and start receiving. The power to manifest lies not in effort, but in alignment. The law of reversed effort. Introduction. In the veiled corridors of time where ancient wisdom whispers through the ages, there exists a forgotten law, the law of reversed effort. It speaks not in commands, but in vibrations. Beneath the surface of striving and struggle lies a hidden current where true abundance flows, not through force but through alignment. Wealth, in its essence, is not a material object but an energetic pattern, a frequency that moves through the universe like an unseen river. Before it becomes gold or coin, it is a vibration, subtle, powerful, ever-present. Your ability to receive it depends not on how hard you chase it, but on how deeply you resonate with its frequency. This ancient truth unveils four principles: resonance, amplification, persistence, and transmission. Resonance is your inner harmony with abundance, when you feel as if you already possess what you seek. Amplification is the deepening of that resonance where repeated stillness strengthens the signal. Persistence is the quiet commitment to remain tuned, even when outer conditions shift. And transmission is the silent broadcast of that wealth consciousness into the world, drawing fortune to you like iron to a lodestone. When your energy reflects ease, joy, and certainty, the universe responds in kind. Effort, born from desperation, creates resistance, but surrender, when aligned with clarity, becomes power. The law of reversed effort reveals that the less you force, the more you allow, and in that allowing, you become a channel for the flow of prosperity. Let go of grasping. Return to the inner stillness where all things begin. In that silence, the universe does the work, and abundance arrives, not as a reward, but as a reflection of your vibration. Before we begin, please hit the like button and comment below where in the world you are listening from today. Part 1. The Sacred Surrender. Chapter 1. The Paradox of Desire. In the bustling marketplace of Alexandria, Thomas moved from stall to stall, his eyes darting frantically between merchants and their wares. For 30 years, he had chased every opportunity, pursued every venture, yet wealth seemed to slip through his fingers like desert sand. Each morning brought new schemes, new investments, new desperate attempts to secure fortune. One sweltering afternoon, exhausted from another failed negotiation, Thomas collapsed beside an old well. There, a sage in simple robes sat in peaceful meditation. Without opening his eyes, the sage spoke. "The harder you grasp at water, the less you can hold." The universal law reveals itself through this timeless truth. What you chase with desperation must, by the very nature of energetic law, flee from you. When you pursue anything, be it wealth, love, or success, with anxious energy, you create a powerful force of repulsion. This desperate pursuit broadcasts to the universe a frequency of lack, amplifying the very absence you seek to fill. Consider how your desires create an energetic contradiction. Each time you reach with desperate hands toward what you want, you unconsciously affirm its absence in your life. This affirmation of lack becomes a vibrational barrier, pushing away the very things you wish to attract. The universe, in its infinite wisdom, responds not to your words or actions, but to your energetic state of being. In a quiet village by the sea, Eleanor's story mirrors this sacred principle. For years, she searched for love with increasing intensity. Every social gathering became a hunting ground. every conversation an evaluation of potential partnership. Yet love remained elusive, seeming to withdraw further with each desperate attempt to find it. Then, in a moment of profound surrender, Eleanor turned her attention inward. She filled her days with poetry, tended her garden, and rediscovered the joy of simply being. She released her grip on the search for love, choosing instead to become love itself. Within 7 days, 3 suitors appeared at her door, drawn by the magnetic power of her transformed energy. The ritual of sacred release. Take a piece of parchment and inscribe upon it your deepest desire. Hold it in your hands and acknowledge the wanting, the yearning, the seeking. Now find or create a special container, a box, a jar, or a vessel that holds meaning for you. As the sun sets, speak these words. I entrust this desire to the infinite wisdom of universal timing. I release the need to control its manifestation. Place the parchment in your chosen vessel and seal it with intention. Sit in meditation for a few moments, allowing yourself to feel the profound peace that comes with true surrender. Let your energy shift from pursuing to allowing, from seeking to becoming. In this sacred space of release, you align with the natural flow of universal abundance. Chapter 2. The Ancient Wisdom of Non-Action. William toiled beneath the merciless sun, his weathered hands gripping the plow with desperate determination. For months, he had battled the parched earth, trying every method known to coax life from the dusty soil. Each morning brought new schemes, deeper furrows, different seeds, elaborate irrigation systems, yet the land remained barren, mocking his frantic efforts. One evening, as shadows lengthened across his failed crops, an elder appeared at his fence. The Ancient One watched William's exhausted struggle in silence before speaking. The rain does not fall harder when we command it. It comes when we learn to dance with the rhythm of the heavens. The elder taught William a dance, not of steps and movements, but of surrender. First, be still, the elder whispered. Feel the earth's thirst as your own, then release your need to quench it. As William learned to move in harmony with nature's timing, the clouds gathered of their own accord. This wisdom echoes through the ages, appearing in countless forms across all spiritual traditions. The Taoists called it wu-wei, the art of non-doing. The mystics spoke of divine surrender. The sages taught of effortless action. Though the words differ, the eternal truth remains. When you cease your exhausting battle against life's flow, you discover the power of aligning with universal intelligence. Non-doing is not passive resignation to circumstance. Rather, it is a state of dynamic receptivity, an alert stillness from which inspired action naturally emerges. When you release the burden of forcing outcomes, you become a clear channel through which universal wisdom can flow. Your actions then arise not from desperate striving, but from deep attunement to cosmic guidance. Martha, a renowned healer in a mountain village, found herself caught in the irony of her situation. Though she had helped countless others find wellness, her own affliction persisted despite years of searching for a cure. She traveled to distant lands, studied ancient remedies, and tried every treatment she discovered. Yet health remained elusive, seeming to withdraw further with each desperate attempt to grasp it. Only when Martha finally ceased her relentless quest did the truth reveal itself. In the silence of surrender, as she sat beside a quiet stream, her body began to heal, not through any remedy or technique, but through the simple act of releasing her struggle. The practice of sacred stillness. Find a quiet space where you can be undisturbed. Identify an area of your life where you have been striving and struggling. For 5 minutes each day, sit in complete stillness, Breathe deeply and visualize yourself by a cosmic ocean. With each breath, see yourself releasing your struggle into these infinite waters. Speak these words with quiet certainty. I surrender my striving and embrace the ancient way of non-action. Chapter 3. The Spiritual Exhaustion of Striving. High in the mist-shrouded peaks, Henry pushed his body beyond its limits, determined to conquer the summit that had eluded so many before him. Day after day, he sought increasingly treacherous routes, believing that achievement must come through struggle. His muscles ached, his lungs burned, yet still he pressed on, convinced that victory belonged to those who fought hardest. Until one morning his strength finally failed him. Collapsing onto a rocky outcrop, Henry surrendered to exhaustion. As his breathing slowed, the mountain mists parted to reveal what countless climbers had missed in their aggressive ascents, an ancient path winding gently through hidden valleys, offering a natural way to the peak. You too have been climbing your mountain the hard way. The modern world has convinced you that manifestation requires constant hustle, endless striving, perpetual motion. Yet this ceaseless effort violates the spiritual laws that govern creation. Like a swimmer fighting against a mighty current, you exhaust yourself while making little progress. The signs of spiritual exhaustion surround you, that persistent feeling of swimming upstream, the sense of pushing against an invisible force, the growing weariness in your soul. These symptoms arise not from insufficient effort, but from a fundamental misalignment with universal law. You have forgotten that you are not separate from the creative force of existence. You are one with it. When you strive ceaselessly, you unconsciously declare your disconnection from universal power. Each desperate effort affirms the illusion that you must force life to bend to your will rather than flowing with its natural current. This very striving creates the resistance that blocks your path. Josephine knew this exhaustion well. For years, she labored in her studio, desperately trying to create works that would impress the art world's harshest critics. Each canvas became a battlefield where she fought to prove her worth, yet her most celebrated masterpiece emerged only when she abandoned this struggle. One evening, weary of forcing inspiration, she began to paint purely for joy. As she surrendered to the creative flow, something magical happened. The artwork seemed to create itself through her, rather than by her. What emerged was unlike anything she had consciously attempted, yet it carried a power that moved even the most hardened critics to tears. The practice of sacred release. Find a quiet moment and identify 3 areas in your life where you have been striving excessively. Take 3 leaves, fresh from a tree if possible. On each leaf, write one of these efforts. Visit a stream, river, or any moving water. Hold each leaf in turn, speaking these words. I release the burden of spiritual exhaustion and open to effortless manifestation. Place each leaf gently on the water, watching as the current carries away your exhaustion. Chapter 4. The Sacred Art of Allowing. Along the misty shores before dawn, James cast his nets with desperate determination. Each day he worked harder than the last, rowing further out to sea, staying longer in the harsh elements. Yet his nets remained empty while other boats returned heavy with fish. One morning, an ancient sea captain watched James's frantic efforts from the dock. "Come," the old man beckoned. "Let me share what the sea taught me over 50 winters." Reluctantly, James moored his boat and listened. "The fish," the captain whispered, his eyes reflecting the dancing waves. "They feel your desperate energy rippling through the waters. They sense your fear, your grasping. The more you chase, the faster they scatter." The next day, following the captain's guidance, James simply anchored his boat and became still. He released his anxious thoughts and merged with the gentle rhythm of the waves. Within an hour, schools of fish began gathering around his boat, drawn to the peaceful energy he now emanated. You too have been chasing your desires with similar desperation, creating ripples of anxious energy that scatter the very abundance you seek. The art of allowing requires a profound shift, from the exhausting pursuit of what you want to becoming a clear channel through which abundance naturally flows. This state of allowing differs vastly from passive waiting. It is an active spiritual posture, a conscious choice to maintain unwavering faith while releasing attachment to how and when your desires manifest. When you truly allow it, you hold your dreams with open hands rather than clenched fists. Victoria discovered this truth in her garden. Desperate for her flowers to bloom, she smothered them with constant attention, checking the soil hourly, adjusting the water obsessively, fretting over every leaf. Under such intense monitoring, her plants withered. Only when she learned to trust nature's wisdom did her garden flourish. She came to understand that each seed contained perfect intelligence, requiring only space to express its innate potential. The practice of sacred allowing. Create your manifestation vessel, a special container that represents your receptivity to universal abundance. Choose one that resonates with your spirit. Place within it symbols of your desires, perhaps a coin for prosperity, a rose quartz for love, or an image representing your dreams. Each morning, find a quiet moment with your vessel. Place your hands above it, not touching, but feeling the energy field between your palms and the container. Breathe deeply, allowing your body to relax. As you exhale, release all need to control outcomes. Speak these words with peaceful certainty. I open myself as a perfect channel through which unlimited abundance flows effortlessly. Chapter 5: The Divine Magnetism of Stillness. In the depths of an ancient forest, Samuel moved with desperate intensity, his footsteps breaking twigs and rustling leaves as he pursued the shadows of fleeing deer. Day after day, he returned home empty-handed, his energy depleted, his spirit crushed by failure. The more intensely he hunted, the more the forest seemed to conspire against him, until fate led him to a clearing where a hermit sat in perfect stillness. The old man's eyes sparkled with knowing as he gestured for Samuel to join him. "Your chase creates ripples of chaos in the forest's energy," the hermit explained. "Learn instead the power of sacred stillness." Under the hermit's guidance, Samuel learned to sit motionless, merging his energy with the forest itself. Soon, deer began approaching him voluntarily, drawn by his peaceful presence. Within you lies this same magnetic power of stillness. When your mind ceases its restless churning, when your spirit enters perfect calm, you activate an irresistible force field that draws your desires toward you according to universal law. This is not the empty stillness of resignation, but the charged quietude of expectant allowing, a state of being that accelerates manifestation beyond ordinary understanding. Like a still pond that perfectly reflects the moon and stars, your quiet mind becomes a pure channel for cosmic forces to flow through. The universe, in its infinite wisdom, abhors a vacuum. The space you create through mental and spiritual stillness becomes a magnetic void that must be filled according to spiritual law. Charlotte discovered this truth while searching frantically for her grandmother's sapphire pendant. She turned her home upside down, each desperate search creating more chaos and confusion. Exhausted, she finally sank into her grandmother's old chair, letting go of her frenzied seeking. In that moment of surrender, her eyes were drawn to a glint of blue beneath a floorboard she had passed countless times before. The sacred practice of magnetic stillness. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed. Sit comfortably and set a timer for 11 minutes. Close your eyes and allow your breath to become slow and steady. Feel your energy field extending outward like ripples on a pond, creating a magnetic force that draws your desires toward you. As you maintain this sacred stillness, speak these words with quiet certainty. In divine stillness, I activate the irresistible force that draws all my desires to me with perfect timing. Chapter 6: Recognizing Universal Signs. In the bustling marketplace of ancient Damascus, Theodore stood among the merchants, his once prosperous silk trading business now reduced to empty stalls and mounting debts. Night after night, he wandered the streets, his mind clouded by despair, until an encounter with the mysterious carpet weaver changed everything. "The universe speaks in whispers," the weaver told him, "but you listen only for shouts." Through this chance meeting, Theodore learned to quiet his troubled mind and notice the subtle patterns around him. A recurring dream of golden birds led him to explore an abandoned courtyard. There, a peculiar arrangement of fallen leaves pointed to a hidden cellar containing forgotten treasures from the Silk Road, far more valuable than his lost fortune. The language of the universe flows eternally around you, speaking through patterns that most overlook. When you release your grip on predetermined outcomes, these divine messages become clear as morning sunlight. Each synchronicity, each meaningful coincidence, each repeated number sequence forms part of an ancient dialogue between your consciousness and the infinite intelligence that orchestrates all creation. Your racing thoughts create static that drowns out this cosmic guidance. Like a radio tuned between stations, your desperate focus on specific outcomes generates interference that blocks clear reception of divine direction. Yet when you enter a state of receptive awareness, the universe's messages shine through with crystal clarity. Consider Beatrice, who exhausted herself searching for her life's purpose through endless books and teachers. Only when she released her quest did the signs begin appearing. A chance conversation about healing arts, a book falling open to a specific page, a recurring dream of white doves. Following these breadcrumbs led her to discover her gift for energy medicine, bringing both spiritual fulfillment and material abundance in ways she never could have planned. The sacred practice of divine dialogue. Obtain a special journal dedicated solely to recording signs and synchronicities. For 21 days, document every meaningful coincidence, repeated pattern, or unusual occurrence that catches your attention. Each morning, place your hand over your heart, close your eyes, and speak these words with quiet certainty. I am attuned to the sacred language of the universe, recognizing and following the perfect signs that guide me to effortless manifestation. Chapter 7: The Mirror of Expectation. In a village among rolling hills, Frederick tilled his fields with growing desperation. Each season he planted his seeds with trembling hands, whispering prayers that this year would be different. Yet as surely as winter follows autumn, his crops withered despite his meticulous care. Other farmers reaped abundant harvests from similar soil, while Frederick's land yielded only enough to barely survive. One evening, as he sat at his worn wooden table counting his dwindling supplies, a knock echoed through his humble home. An elder, known for her wisdom in matters both earthly and spiritual, stood at his threshold. Your soil is rich, she observed, by none but you water it with expectations of lack. Through her guidance, Frederick discovered that his childhood memories of famine had etched deep grooves of scarcity in his consciousness. Each seed he planted carried not just his hopes, but his deeper certainty of failure. The universe, being a perfect mirror, simply reflected back this bone-deep expectation. Your circumstances are not random occurrences, but faithful reflections of your deepest held beliefs. Like Frederick's failing crops, your reality grows from seeds planted in the fertile soil of your subconscious mind. Surface-level affirmations, like scattered seeds on barren ground, cannot take root unless they penetrate to this deeper level of expectation. Witness the transformation of Abigail, whose trading business repeatedly attracted partners who betrayed her trust. Though she consciously sought honest allies, her childhood experience of abandonment had created an unconscious expectation of betrayal. Only when she recognized this hidden pattern could she uproot it, allowing trustworthy partnerships to naturally flow into her life. The universe operates with mathematical precision, manifesting exactly what you truly expect, not what you consciously desire. Your current circumstances offer a perfect reflection of these deeper expectations. By bringing these hidden beliefs into the light of awareness, you gain the power to transform them. The ancient practice of mirror revelation. Find a quiet space with a mirror where you will not be disturbed. For 5 minutes each day, gaze steadily into your own eyes. Ask, with unwavering focus, what do I truly expect? Allow insights to surface without judgment. Then, using a special marker, write your new chosen expectations directly on the mirror while speaking this timeless truth. As within, so without. I align my deepest expectations with my highest desires, and the universe faithfully mirrors my transformed consciousness. Chapter 8. The Freedom from Forced Manifestation. In the days of old, there lived a king named Clarence who ruled his realm with an iron grip. As his coffers dwindled, he squeezed his subjects ever harder, demanding greater tributes and imposing heavier burdens. Yet the more forcefully he grasped at wealth, the more swiftly it seemed to vanish from his kingdom. Markets grew quiet, craftsmen departed, and fields lay fallow as his people struggled under the weight of his demands. One night, as Clarence tossed upon his silken sheets, a luminous figure appeared in his dreams, an ancient sage whose eyes held the wisdom of ages. Your kingdom mirrors your consciousness, the sage revealed. Your desperate clutching creates the very void you seek to fill. When you attempt to force manifestation through sheer will, you create an energetic distortion in the universal field. Like Clarence's kingdom, the very act of grasping pushes away that which you seek to hold. This principle operates with mathematical precision in every area of your life. The universe responds not to your actions alone, but to the energy underlying them. There exists a profound difference between inspired action that flows from alignment with universal intelligence and forced action born of fear and scarcity consciousness. The first opens channels of effortless manifestation, while the second creates resistance that blocks your good from reaching you. Consider Margaret, whose daughter's future consumed her thoughts. She exhausted herself pursuing connections and opportunities, calling in favors and orchestrating elaborate plans to secure her child's entry into an elite institution. Yet with each forceful attempt, her daughter withdrew further, their relationship straining under the weight of Margaret's rigid expectations. Only when she finally released her grip, surrendering her specific vision of success, did the perfect opportunity emerge, one far surpassing anything she had imagined possible. Your attachment to particular outcomes often becomes the very obstacle to receiving something even better. By releasing your need to control the exact form and timing of manifestation, you create space for universal intelligence to work through infinite channels beyond your current awareness. The ritual of release. Take a piece of paper and write upon it your most cherished desire, the outcome you have been trying hardest to force into being. Hold this paper in tightly clenched fists, allowing yourself to feel the physical tension this creates throughout your body. This tension mirrors the energetic constriction that blocks effortless manifestation. Now, gradually begin to open your hands while breathing deeply. As your fingers unfurl, speak these words of power. I release all attachment to forced outcomes and embrace the freedom of aligned manifestation, trusting the perfect unfolding of divine intelligence. Chapter 9. The Alchemy of Surrender. In the forgotten scrolls of ancient wisdom, there lived an alchemist named Richard who devoted his life to the sacred art of transmutation. Day and night, he labored in his tower laboratory, forcing intense flames beneath his crucibles, commanding base metals to transform through sheer determination. Yet despite his mastery of formulas and procedures, the precious gold remained elusive. Years passed, his hair turned silver and his hands grew calloused from endless toil. Then one night, exhausted from another failed attempt, he collapsed in surrender. In that moment of complete release, he glimpsed a profound truth. The philosopher's stone was not a substance to be created through force, but a state of consciousness to be entered through surrender. When you release your desperate grip on how transformation must occur, you activate the most powerful alchemical force in the universe. This surrender is not passive resignation to current circumstances, but rather a transcendent shift in perspective that allows the infinite intelligence of the cosmos to work through you rather than by you. True surrender transmutes the base metal of resistance into the gold of allowing. It is the master key that unlocks the flow of universal forces through your life. Yet this principle is widely misunderstood. Many believe surrender means giving up, when in truth it means giving over your limited understanding to infinite wisdom. Consider Dorothea, who battled a devastating illness with increasingly desperate measures. She tried every treatment, followed every regimen, and fought against her condition with fierce determination. Yet healing remained elusive until the moment she surrendered not to the illness, but to divine wisdom. In that state of profound peace, her body mysteriously began to heal in ways the doctors could not explain. Your surrender is not to circumstances but to the higher intelligence that can transform them. When you cease struggling against what is, while maintaining clear intention about what you desire to be, you enter the alchemical state where miracles become natural law. The alchemical surrender ceremony. Create a physical representation of what you're trying to control. This could be a written description, a symbol, or an object that represents your challenge. Place this in a special container that you designate as your alchemical vessel. Each day, place your hands above the vessel and speak these words. I surrender my limited understanding and align with infinite wisdom, transforming my leaden perspective into golden manifestation through the alchemy of divine trust. Chapter 10. The Sacred Void. In a distant village where the earth cracked with thirst, there lived a man named Albert. Each day he dug shallow wells across the parched landscape, desperately seeking water to sustain his community. His hands grew rough and his back arched as he carved pit after pit into the resistant ground, yet not a single drop emerged. The villagers watched their crops wither, while Albert scattered his energy across a dozen futile holes. One evening, as Albert prepared to dig yet another shallow well, an elder appeared beside him. Without speaking, the wise one took Albert's spade and began to dig in a single spot. Hour after hour, the elder dug deeper and deeper while Albert watched, puzzled by this focused persistence. Finally, the elder spoke. A dozen shallow holes will yield nothing, but one deep void calls forth the waters of life. Understanding dawned in Albert's heart. He joined the elder, and together they created a single deep well. As they carved this profound emptiness into the earth, water began to seep, then flow, then gush forth in abundance. This ancient wisdom reveals a universal truth. The void you create becomes a vacuum that cosmic forces must fill. When you clutter your life with constant motion and endless tasks, you leave no space for new manifestations to enter. Like a cup already full, nothing more can be added until you create emptiness. The universe abhors a vacuum. This is not merely a physical law, but a spiritual principle that governs all manifestation. By consciously creating space in your life, you activate an irresistible magnetic force that draws your desires to you without struggle. Isabella, a merchant in the Great Bazaar, discovered this truth through her own journey. Her stall overflowed with countless wares, each item competing for attention until customers walked past, overwhelmed by the chaos. In desperation, she removed half her inventory, creating space between her remaining goods. To her amazement, customers who previously hurried past now stopped, drawn to the items they could clearly see. The very space she created became a magnetic force, pulling prosperity toward her with effortless grace. The Sacred Void Ritual. Choose an area in your home and completely empty it of all objects. Cleanse this space with sacred smoke or sound. Each day, sit within this void for 11 minutes, visualizing it filling with golden light that represents your desires. As you sit, speak these words: I create the sacred void that becomes a divine vacuum, drawing all that I desire to me through the perfect law of spiritual magnetism. Part 2: The Mystical Dance of Non-Doing. Chapter 11: The Hidden Power of Releasing Outcomes. In the heart of an ancient city lived Walter, a master architect whose designs graced skylines across distant lands. Each new creation surpassed the last in grandeur and complexity, yet a hollow emptiness echoed through his achievements. Night after night he labored over plans for his crowning glory, a cathedral meant to touch the heavens themselves. Yet inspiration eluded him, until one night a dream carried him to a sacred grove where a voice whispered, "Let go of your vision to receive one greater than your own." Upon waking, Walter did something that defied all his training. He set aside his carefully crafted plans and sat in empty receptivity before his blank drafting table. In that space of surrender, images began flowing through him of a design so magnificent it brought tears to his eyes, one that seemed to emerge from the very soul of creation itself. When you cling to your limited vision of how your desires must manifest, you construct walls that block the infinite possibilities awaiting you. Your human mind, magnificent though it may be, can only conceive of manifestations based on past experience and current understanding. Yet the universe holds possibilities far beyond your imagination. There exists a profound difference between setting clear intentions and maintaining rigid expectations. Your intentions act as a compass, pointing toward your desired experience. But when you grip specific outcomes with desperate intensity, you create resistance to the greater good trying to reach you. Like a river flowing around obstacles, universal intelligence will always find the perfect path, if you allow it the freedom to move. Consider Harriet, whose grandmother's cherished bread recipe had delighted generations. When Harriet opened her own bakery, she followed these instructions with religious precision, yet something vital was missing. Her loaves emerged technically perfect but spiritually empty. One morning in frustration, she set aside the weathered recipe card and allowed her hands to move with intuitive wisdom. Adding a pinch here, adjusting there, she created something entirely new. A bread so extraordinary that people traveled from distant cities just to taste it. Through Harriet's surrender to inner guidance, something greater than tradition could flow through her. Her willingness to release the way it should be opened the door for the way it could be. The outcome release ceremony. Take a piece of paper and write your specific desired outcome at the top. Beneath it, inscribe these words: this or something better for the highest good of all. Each day, hold this paper to your heart and speak this truth. I release all attachment to specific outcomes and open myself to receive the highest expression of my desire in divine and perfect form. Chapter 12. Transcending the Illusion of Time. In the heart of a bustling city, Edwin crafted timepieces of exquisite precision. Each gear, each spring, each tiny component measured the relentless march of seconds with perfect accuracy. Yet this mastery of mechanical time brought him no peace. Instead, his mind raced constantly with calculations, deadlines, and the fear of wasted moments. His workshop walls bore dozens of ticking clocks, their rhythmic sound a constant reminder of time's passage. One midnight, as he labored over his workbench, the clock suddenly fell silent. In the strange stillness, an ancient figure appeared, radiating timeless wisdom. Without words, this presence guided Edwin to a state of consciousness beyond the mechanical tick-tock of linear time. In that eternal moment, he glimpsed the infinite now, where all possibilities coexisted, where time was not a line, but an ocean of potential. You too exist within the illusion of linear time, measuring your manifestations against the artificial markers of days, weeks, and years. Yet the deepest mysteries of creation operate beyond these human constructs. When you bind your desires to rigid timelines, you create resistance that stretches the very moments you wish to hasten. In the infinite now, your desires already exist in completed form. Your task is not to force them into being, but to align your consciousness with their reality. Like a radio tuning to a frequency that already broadcasts, you simply adjust your spiritual dial to receive what already is. This truth is illustrated in the tale of Georgina, whose anticipated inheritance became a source of mounting anxiety. Each morning she checked her mail with trembling hands. Each afternoon she called her lawyer with increasing desperation. Time seemed to stretch like an elastic band, each day longer than the last. Only when she surrendered her obsession with timing and immersed herself in serving at a local shelter did the flow of time resume its natural rhythm. The letter arrives precisely when it was meant to, though to her newly balanced perspective, it seemed to manifest suddenly. The Timeless Manifestation Meditation. Find a quiet space and close your eyes. For 15 minutes, progressively relax your body, releasing tension from each muscle. Visualize yourself stepping outside time's stream into the eternal now. Experience your desire as already fulfilled in this timeless dimension while affirming, I transcend the illusion of linear time and enter the eternal now, where all that I desire already exists in completed form, manifesting with divine, perfect timing. Chapter 13. The Quiet Mind as Creator. In a bustling city known for its literary circles, Benjamin crafted verses that moved hearts and awakened souls. His poetry flowed like a pristine mountain stream, touching something deep within all who encountered his words. Yet one morning the stream ran dry. No matter how he strained, the words turned to dust before reaching the page. For years he tried every method to break through this barrier. He attended workshops, studied advanced techniques, and forced himself to write for hours each day. The more he pushed, the more the words eluded him. His mind became a tortured landscape of half-formed phrases and desperate grasping. In his darkest moment, Benjamin found himself drawn to an ancient monastery in distant hills. There, surrounded by silence and stone walls worn smooth by centuries of prayers, something shifted. As his mind gradually stilled, he discovered a vast space beneath his thoughts. From this silence, verses began to emerge, not forced from his straining mind, but flowing through him like water from a hidden spring. When you chase manifestation through constant mental activity, you create interference that blocks the pure signal of universal intelligence. Your thinking mind, with its endless planning and strategizing, generates static that drowns out the subtle frequency of divine inspiration. True creation emerges not from mental effort, but from the fertile void of inner silence. Consider Louise, whose paintings once drew praise from critics across the land. Yet as her reputation grew, so did her self-consciousness. She began planning each work in meticulous detail, sketching and resketching, calculating color combinations, and second-guessing every choice. Her paintings, once alive with spontaneous energy, became rigid and lifeless. Desperate to reclaim her gift, Louise attended a meditation retreat in a remote forest. There, she learned to quiet the endless chatter of her mind. When she returned to her studio, she approached her canvas differently. Instead of planning, she simply held her brush and waited in silence. To her amazement, the paintings seemed to create themselves through her, each brushstroke guided by a wisdom beyond thought. The creator's silence ritual. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed. Set a timer for 17 minutes. Begin by focusing on your breath, allowing each thought to dissolve like mist in the morning sun. Rest in the fertile void of no thought, becoming an empty vessel through which universal intelligence can flow. Complete your practice by affirming, "In the sacred silence of my quieted mind, I access the infinite creative power that manifests all things with effortless perfection." Before we get into the next chapter, you can download a free ebook version of this audiobook using the link in the pinned comment below this video. Chapter 14. The Transformative Power of Gratitude. In the ancient markets of Damascus, a merchant named Nathaniel once commanded great respect and wealth. His warehouses overflowed with precious silks and rare spices, his influence reaching across distant lands. Yet fate's wheel turned, and through a series of misfortunes, he lost everything. Each morning, he walked the same streets where he once conducted grand business, his heart heavy with bitterness, his words sharp with complaint. One scorching afternoon, exhausted from his lamentations, he rested beneath a fig tree at the market's edge. There, he encountered an extraordinary sight. A beggar, clothed in rags, yet radiating inexplicable joy. The beggar held only a wooden bowl, a frayed blanket, and a small copper coin, yet he danced and sang praises for each possession as if they were treasures beyond measure. Intrigued despite himself, Nathaniel watched as the beggar blessed his bowl for holding water, thanked his blanket for providing warmth, and celebrated his coin as a symbol of infinite abundance. Something stirred within Nathaniel's heart. That evening, he surveyed his modest room with new eyes, thanking the walls for shelter, blessing his simple mat for rest, and appreciating the clean water in his cup. As he continued this practice, mysterious changes began unfolding. A forgotten debtor appeared with repayment, a distant relative offered partnership in a promising venture, and his reputation for wisdom drew new opportunities. Within a year, his fortune had multiplied beyond his former wealth, yet this time his prosperity flowed from a foundation of genuine gratitude. Gratitude operates as a mystical force in the universe, instantly elevating your energetic frequency from scarcity to abundance. When you offer sincere appreciation for what exists in your life, you activate an ancient spiritual law that accelerates manifestation. This is not mere positive thinking. It is a transformative power that alters your vibrational signature at the quantum level. Consider Catherine, whose large house echoed with emptiness after her children moved away. Each room seemed to mock her solitude until she met an elderly woman in her garden who shared a sacred truth. The woman guided Catherine to begin blessing each item in her home, thanking the chairs for their support, appreciating the windows for bringing light, expressing gratitude to the kitchen for nourishing meals. As Catherine maintained this practice, the energy of her home shifted dramatically. Friends began dropping by more frequently, family visited with increasing regularity, and soon her house hummed with the warmth of companionship she had longed for. The Manifestation Gratitude Protocol. Obtain a special journal dedicated solely to this practice. Each day, write 10 heartfelt appreciations, 5 for existing blessings and 5 for desired manifestations, as if already received. After writing, place both hands on the journal and affirm, "Through the mystical power of gratitude, I transform my energy to perfectly align with infinite abundance, drawing all desires to me through the magnetic force of genuine appreciation." Chapter 15, Divine Timing and Cosmic Order. In the rolling hills of Tuscany there lived a gardener named Francis whose impatience undermined his greatest passion. Each spring he would plant his seeds with grand visions of abundance, but his trust withered faster than morning dew. Unable to wait for nature's rhythm, he would dig up his seeds daily, examining their progress, unknowingly disrupting the delicate process of growth. His garden remained barren season after season, until one morning, an elderly farmer passing by observed Francis in his familiar ritual of unearthing and inspecting. The old man approached with quiet wisdom in his eyes. "The seed knows when to sprout," he said softly. "Just as you cannot force a flower to bloom by pulling its petals open, you can't hurry the divine timing of growth." Under the farmer's guidance, Francis learned to trust the invisible processes occurring beneath the soil. When his hands itched to dig, he instead tended to other tasks, allowing nature's intelligence to work uninterrupted. That year, his garden flourished beyond imagination, producing vegetables of exceptional size and sweetness. Within the depths of universal wisdom lies a profound truth. Cosmic timing orchestrates countless unseen variables to bring your manifestations to perfect fruition. Just as a seed requires specific conditions of moisture, temperature, and darkness before it can sprout, your desires unfold according to an intelligence far beyond your limited perception. When you push against divine timing, you create resistance that not only delays manifestation, but often diminishes its eventual expression. Like Francis disrupting his seeds, your impatience can interfere with the intricate choreography of universal forces working on your behalf. Consider the tale of Josephine, a talented entrepreneur who launched business after business with frantic urgency. Each venture collapsed despite her dedication, leaving her exhausted and discouraged. When illness forced her into unwanted rest, she initially raged against the delay. Yet in that imposed stillness, divine inspiration flowed through her, revealing an opportunity perfectly aligned with her gifts, one she would have missed in her previous haste. Through stillness, you learn to distinguish between passive waiting and active alignment with natural cycles. The universe constantly offers subtle signs indicating divine timing at work, signs often missed in the rush to force outcomes. For your practice, perform the divine timing attunement ritual. Select a natural object, perhaps a leaf, stone, or flower, to represent your desire. Place it where you can observe it daily, contemplating how it exists in perfect harmony with natural timing. Then enter meditation, visualizing your manifestation ripening according to cosmic order while affirming, "I align myself with divine timing and cosmic order, trusting the perfect unfoldment of all my desires according to universal wisdom that exceeds my limited understanding." Chapter 16. The Invisible Bridge of Faith. In the mist-shrouded mountains of an ancient land, Elizabeth found herself at the edge of a deep gorge. Her destination lay clearly visible on the opposite cliff, yet no path connected the two sides. As panic began to rise, a figure emerged from the morning haze, an elder whose eyes held the depth of ages. Without speaking, he gestured toward the empty space before them, encouraging her to step forward. Elizabeth's mind screamed of the impossibility, yet something deeper stirred within her. Taking a breath, she lifted her foot and placed it into seemingly empty air, only to feel solid ground beneath. Step by step, she crossed the gorge on an invisible bridge that supported her journey, though her eyes could not perceive it. Within this tale lies a profound truth about the nature of manifestation. Between your present circumstance and your desired reality stretches what appears to be an impossible void. Yet this apparent emptiness contains an invisible bridge, the mystical faculty of faith that transforms unseen potential into tangible experience. Faith operates beyond the limited realm of logic and evidence. It is not blind belief or desperate hoping, but rather a knowing that transcends rational understanding. This illumined faith creates an energetic bridge across which your desires travel from the quantum field of pure potential into physical manifestation. Consider Raymond, a merchant whose business faced imminent collapse. All logical paths led to ruin, yet in meditation, he received a prompt to take action that seemed entirely irrational, to invest his last resources in an unknown venture. Standing at his own precipice, Raymond chose to step onto the invisible bridge of faith. Through a series of what appeared to be coincidences, this single act led him to unprecedented prosperity. Your logical mind may resist stepping into apparent emptiness, yet the universe operates through principles that often appear paradoxical to limited understanding. Faith provides the eyes to see the solid bridge where reason perceives only void. To strengthen your faith faculty, create your faith bridge by stretching a string between 2 points, one representing your current reality, the other your heart's desire. Each day, move a small object incrementally along this string while closing your eyes and affirming, "I walk confidently across the invisible bridge of faith, knowing that what I cannot yet see fully supports my journey to perfect manifestation in divine order." Chapter 17. The Art of Inspired Action. In the heart of an ancient village lived Margaret, a weaver whose fingers danced across the loom in desperate patterns. Day and night she toiled, forcing intricate designs through sheer determination, yet her creations lacked the living spark she sought. Her hands grew calloused, her spirit weary, until exhaustion finally claimed her into deep slumber. In her dreams, she encountered an ageless woman seated at a celestial loom. Without touching the threads, the woman simply waited, listening. Suddenly, the threads began to shimmer with their own light, weaving themselves into patterns of breathtaking beauty. "The threads carry wisdom," the woman whispered. "Your task is not to force, but to listen." Upon waking, Margaret approached her loom differently. Instead of imposing her will, she sat in silence until the threads seemed to whisper their secrets. Her hands moved only when guided by an inner knowing, And from this surrender emerged tapestries of such profound beauty that people traveled from distant lands to behold them. You too stand before the loom of creation, where every moment offers a choice between forced action and inspired movement. When you push against the cosmic current, exhaustion becomes your constant companion. Yet when you align with universal intelligence, manifestation flows with remarkable ease. Consider Howard, a merchant in the bustling markets of old. He pursued every opportunity with frantic energy, spreading himself thin across countless ventures. His wealth dwindled despite working longer hours until a wise elder taught him the art of inner listening. Learning to quiet his mind, Howard discovered that certain opportunities arrived carrying a distinct resonance, a feeling of rightness that transcended logic. When he focused solely on these aligned opportunities, his prosperity multiplied through fewer but perfectly chosen actions. The universe speaks through subtle promptings, gentle nudges that, when heeded, guide you to exponential results with minimal effort. These divine suggestions arrive not through the clamoring of the mind, but through the quiet wisdom of your intuitive knowing. To develop your discernment between forced and inspired action, create your inspired action oracle. Write possible actions related to your desire on separate cards. Each morning, enter sacred stillness through breath and meditation. Draw a card and notice the sensation it creates within you. Take action only when accompanied by an inner yes, affirming, "I distinguish between forced striving and divine guidance, taking inspired action that aligns with cosmic intelligence to manifest my desires with effortless grace." Chapter 18. The Cosmic Mirror of Relationships. In the bustling markets of the ancient Silk Road, there lived a merchant named Charles, whose fortunes seemed cursed by an endless parade of difficult characters. In every town he visited, he encountered suspicious traders, dishonest partners, and hostile competitors. No matter how far he traveled, the same patterns of distrust and deception followed him like shadows at sunset. One evening, exhausted from another failed negotiation, Charles sought refuge in a small tea house where he met an elderly woman whose eyes held the wisdom of ages. As he recounted his troubles, she listened with a knowing smile. "Come," she said, leading him to a wall of polished brass mirrors. "What do you see in every reflection?" Charles saw his own face repeated dozens of times, each showing his furrowed brow and guarded expression. "These people you meet," the wise woman said softly, "are not your tormentors but your teachers. They reflect what lies within you, waiting to be transformed." The deeper truth of human experience reveals itself through the perfect mirror of relationships. Every person who enters your sphere serves as an exact reflection of your consciousness, showing you with pristine clarity where you still hold patterns of resistance that block your manifestations. Consider Beatrice, whose heart yearned for deep connection, yet repeatedly drew partners who could not fully commit. Each relationship seemed different on the surface, yet all shared a common thread: emotional unavailability. Only when a spiritual guide helped her see these partners as mirrors did she recognize her own pattern of self-abandonment. As she began nurturing herself with the love she sought from others, her relationships transformed as if by magic, drawing partners who reflected her new inner state of wholeness. Your relationships provide immediate feedback about your vibrational alignment. When you encounter difficulty with others, look within to find what aspect of yourself seeks acknowledgement and healing. Those who trigger you most strongly point precisely to where inner work is needed to accelerate your manifestations. To access this wisdom directly, practice the relationship mirror meditation. Sit quietly, and visualize someone who brings up feelings of frustration or resistance. See them seated across from you, then watch as their form transforms into a mirror. Look deeply into this mirror, allowing it to reveal the corresponding pattern within yourself. As you recognize this reflection, envision golden light dissolving any resistance, watching as it melts away layers of judgment and defensiveness. Let the warm radiance flow through your entire being, cleansing old patterns and creating space for deeper understanding. Then, with complete presence and conviction, affirm, I recognize all relationships as perfect reflections of my inner state, embracing each mirror as a divine gift guiding me toward complete alignment with effortless manifestation. Feel these words resonating in every cell of your body, knowing that as you accept these sacred reflections, you accelerate your journey toward mastery of the universal laws. Chapter 19. Dissolving the Barriers of Doubt. In a bustling city of gleaming hospitals and modern medicine, there lived a young physician named Robert who had amassed an extraordinary collection of healing knowledge. His library contained thousands of volumes, ancient herbal manuscripts, modern medical journals, and rare texts from distant lands. Yet despite his vast knowledge and precise applications, his patients showed little improvement. Each remedy he prescribed seemed to lose its potency the moment it left his hands. One night, as Robert pored over his texts in frustration, an elderly medicine man appeared in his doorway. Without speaking, the elder observed as Robert frantically consulted book after book. Finally, he spoke. The shadow of your doubt dims the light of healing. Through the wisdom that unfolds in the sacred space between certainty and uncertainty, you will discover how doubt operates as more than mere thought. It manifests as an energetic frequency that directly interferes with the process of manifestation. Like static disrupting a clear signal, doubt creates an invisible barrier that prevents your intentions from materializing in physical form. The subtle vibration of doubt often operates beneath your conscious awareness, yet its influence powerfully distorts your manifestation field. You may speak words of certainty, while an undercurrent of doubt creates energetic interference that prevents your desires from taking form. Consider Esther, whose vast fields should have yielded abundant crops. She followed every proven farming practice planted during optimal cycles and tended her land with dedication. Yet season after season, her crops failed to thrive while neighboring fields flourished. Through a profound dream, she discovered that her buried doubt about the land's fertility had created an energetic overlay, preventing natural abundance from expressing. Only after performing a sacred ceremony to transmute this doubt did the same soil produce harvests of unprecedented abundance. To dissolve the shadow of doubt that dims your manifestations, practice the doubt dissolution ritual. Inscribe your specific doubts on paper designed to dissolve in water. As you place each doubt into the water, visualize its energy transmuting into pure clarity. For 7 sacred days, meditate with focused awareness on your solar plexus, the radiant energy center where doubt accumulates and stagnates. During this purifying meditation, place your hand over this vital region just above your navel, feeling the warmth emanate as you connect with its transformative power. Let each breath dissolve the shadows of uncertainty that have gathered there. As you sit in stillness, affirm with conviction, I dissolve all barriers of doubt through the alchemical power of unwavering trust, clearing the channel for perfect manifestation to flow into my experience with divine precision. Feel these words resonate through every cell of your being, knowing that each repetition transmutes resistance into pure potential. Chapter 20. The Sacred Threshold of Patience. In the heart of an ancient valley, there lived a young woman named Sarah who received a mystical gift, a seed said to grow into a magnificent tree bearing golden fruit. With great ceremony, she planted the seed in rich soil, her heart filled with visions of the promised abundance. Yet as days passed without any visible sign of growth, her initial excitement waned. Despite warnings that the most profound transformations occur unseen, she abandoned her vigil, leaving behind what would have become her greatest blessing had she maintained her patient watch. Through this timeless tale, you discover the deeper truth about patience as a spiritual force. This is not the passive waiting that drains your spirit, but rather a dynamic state of joyful expectancy that maintains perfect resonance with your desires. When you cultivate true patience, you enter a sacred agreement with universal timing, creating an energetic field that accelerates rather than delays manifestation. Your impatience creates a discordant frequency that actually repels what you seek to attract. Like static interference disrupting a clear signal, the agitated energy of impatience distorts the pure vibration of your desire. Yet when you align with divine patience, you establish a crystalline resonance that draws your manifestations towards you with natural grace. Consider Jonathan, whose masterful hands carved intricate timepieces. With each passing day, his frustration mounted as projects remained unfinished, their completion seemingly forever beyond reach. Until one night, a dream vision revealed the grand orchestra of cosmic timing, how each gear, each spring, each delicate component aligned in perfect sequence according to a wisdom beyond his limited understanding. This revelation transformed not only his relationship with time, but the very quality of his creations, which now emerged as unprecedented masterpieces precisely when meant to. To cultivate this sacred patience, create an altar dedicated to divine timing. Place upon it symbols representing your desires in manifestation, perhaps a seed, a chrysalis, or an unopened flower bud. Each day tend this altar while consciously generating the energy of joyful expectancy. Complete your practice by affirming, "I dwell at the sacred threshold of patience," maintaining perfect vibrational alignment with my desires through joyful expectancy, regardless of outer appearance. Knowing divine timing orchestrates all things with perfect wisdom. Let these words resonate through your being as you stand before your altar, feeling the living truth of them pulsing through every cell. In moments of doubt or impatience, return to this sacred affirmation, allowing its profound wisdom to anchor you in trust. For in this space of serene acceptance, you become one with the cosmic dance of manifestation, neither rushing nor resisting, but flowing in harmony with the divine plan that unfolds with impeccable grace. Part 3, The Divine Fruition. Chapter 21. The Mysterious Mechanics of Magnetic Attraction. In the hidden valleys of an ancient mountain range lived Oliver, a silversmith whose weathered hands had worked precious metals for over 5 decades. Despite his mastery of technique, he struggled increasingly to extract silver and gold from the raw ore brought to his workshop. Night after night he labored with diminishing returns, until exhaustion finally claimed him, drawing him into a profound dream state. In this twilight realm, ethereal beings revealed to him the forgotten art of lodestone attraction, showing how certain stones possessed an innate magnetic force that drew specific metals toward them without effort or force. You see, the universe operates through attraction rather than pursuit. Just as a lodestone effortlessly draws iron filings across space, your energetic state creates an invisible but potent magnetic field that inevitably attracts corresponding experiences into your reality. This is the deeper truth that transforms manifestation from struggle to natural law. Your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs generate specific vibrational frequencies that ripple outward into the quantum field, creating a magnetic signature as unique as your fingerprint. This signature automatically attracts experiences, opportunities, and circumstances that match its precise resonance. Understanding this principle shifts your entire approach to manifestation, from doing to being, from chasing to attracting, from forcing to allowing. Consider Josephine, whose small shop struggled at the edge of a bustling marketplace. One morning, while organizing old inventory, she discovered an unusual medallion marked with mysterious symbols of attraction. As she studied these ancient markings, she began to understand that prosperity wasn't something to pursue, but rather a frequency to embody. She stopped frantically trying to draw customers and instead focused on becoming the energetic equivalent of abundance itself. Soon, without any additional advertising or effort, new customers began appearing at her door as if guided by an invisible hand. To activate your own magnetic manifestation power, begin a daily practice with 2 small magnets. Hold them apart and observe how they snap together when brought within range. This demonstrates a profound universal principle. Attraction operates automatically when frequencies align. Now, sitting in meditation, imagine yourself as a human lodestone radiating the precise frequency of your desire. Feel this magnetic energy emanating from every cell of your being, pulsing outward in waves of pure, attractive force. Let your consciousness expand until you sense yourself as a beacon of light, naturally drawing toward you all that resonates with your inner vibration. While in this elevated state, affirm with unwavering conviction, "I am the living embodiment of magnetic attraction, naturally drawing all experiences that match my resonant frequency of abundance through the mysterious mechanics of universal law." Allow these words to settle deep within your being, knowing that with each breath, you are aligning more perfectly with the infinite organizing power of the cosmos. Chapter 22. Living in the state of the wish fulfilled. In a small village among ancient hills lived Abraham, a skilled shoemaker whose nimble fingers crafted simple footwear for local villagers. Though his work was admired for its quality, he harbored a secret dream of creating exquisite slippers for nobility. Each night he would gaze at sketches of elegant designs while his modest workshop remained filled with ordinary shoes. One evening, as shadows lengthened across his workbench, a mysterious figure appeared at his door. The mystic, bearing the weathered face of one who had glimpsed eternal truths, observed Abraham's yearning and shared a sacred teaching. Wear an invisible crown as you work, and feel the nobility of your true purpose in every stitch. Though puzzled, Abraham began practicing this strange wisdom, imagining a golden crown upon his head while crafting each shoe. As he worked, he allowed himself to experience the dignity and satisfaction of serving royalty, feeling the presence of noble customers in his humble shop. Within a fortnight, a royal messenger arrived bearing a commission for the Queen's personal slippers, marking the beginning of Abraham's transformation into the kingdom's most sought-after royal cobbler. This ancient principle reveals that manifestation flows not from external action, but from internal state. When you dwell in the feeling state of your desire already accomplished, you create a vibrational blueprint that the universe must match in physical form. This emotional frequency becomes a quantum bridge across which your desires travel from potential into reality. Consider Marianne, whose small cottage barely contained her growing family. Rather than dwelling in frustration, she began a daily practice of walking through her modest rooms as though they were grand halls. She would touch imaginary silk curtains, admire fictional marble fireplaces, and express genuine gratitude for the magnificent estate she experienced in her imagination. Each morning, she inhabited this emotional reality so completely that her physical surroundings became irrelevant to her inner experience. Her dedication to maintaining this feeling state regardless of external circumstances created an energetic template of such power that the universe reorganized itself to match it. When a distant relative's will revealed her inheritance of a grand country estate, it merely confirmed what she had already been experiencing internally. To activate this manifestation principle in your own life, create a manifestation theater, a designated sacred space where you can fully embody the feeling state of your desire fulfilled. Spend 11 minutes daily in this space, engaging all your senses in the vivid experience of living your desire as present reality. Touch imaginary objects, hear phantom sounds, smell anticipated fragrances, and most importantly, generate the emotions of having already received what you seek. Carry this feeling state with you throughout your day, letting it infuse every action and interaction with its powerful resonance. Move through each moment as though you are already living within the complete manifestation of your desire, for this is the secret of true transformation. While maintaining this elevated state, silently affirm with unwavering conviction, I dwell consistently in the living reality of my desire fulfilled, knowing that what I experience internally must manifest externally through the perfect law of creative vibration. The universe responds to my inner state with mathematical precision, mirroring back to me the exact frequency I maintain within my consciousness. Chapter 23. The Divine Dance of Polarity. In the rolling hills beyond the ancient forests, there lived a farmer named Thomas, whose relationship with the land mirrored the struggle many face in manifestation. Each season, he would alternate between periods of exhausting labor, plowing, planting, and tending from dawn until well past dusk, and intervals of complete collapse where he could barely lift a tool. One night, as he lay in fevered exhaustion, a dream vision transported him to a celestial realm where he witnessed the eternal dance of sun and moon. In this sacred revelation, he observed how these cosmic bodies never struggled or strained, yet accomplished their purpose through an eternal rhythm of advance and retreat, shine and shadow, giving and receiving. Through this vision, you will discover the fundamental truth that has eluded so many on the path of manifestation, the sacred balance between feminine allowing and masculine action. This mystical polarity, when properly understood and applied, creates an unstoppable momentum that draws your desires into physical form with grace and power. Most seekers of manifestation stumble into one of two extremes. Some remain perpetually passive, waiting for the universe to deliver while taking no inspired action. Others exhaust themselves with constant doing, never creating the receptive space through which universal intelligence can operate. True mastery lies in honoring both energies in their perfect timing. Consider Victoria, who maintained such rigid control over her household that every moment was scheduled, every surface spotless, every activity monitored with military precision. When illness forced her to relinquish this iron grip, she discovered something remarkable. By alternating between periods of directed intention and complete surrender, her household found a natural rhythm that created more harmony than her constant control ever achieved. To activate this principle in your own practice, create a polarity manifestation calendar. Designate specific days for inspired action and others for complete allowing. On action days, engage purposefully with tasks that align with your manifestation. On allowing days, practice total surrender, creating space for universal intelligence to work through you. Each evening, as the veil between worlds grows thin, perform a sacred ritual, acknowledging both polarities of manifestation. Light a candle if you wish, creating sacred space for this powerful practice. Center yourself in stillness, then speak this truth with conviction while affirming, I master the divine dance between sacred action and mystical allowing, creating perfect manifestation momentum through balanced engagement with cosmic polarity. Let these words resonate through your being, feeling how they bridge the gap between doing and being, between manifesting and receiving. This ritual creates an energetic seal on your day's work, while preparing the fertile void of tomorrow's possibilities. Chapter 24. Transcending the Need for Evidence. In the torchlit chambers of a medieval observatory, there lived an astronomer named William, whose brilliant mind glimpsed truths about the heavens that others could not yet comprehend. His calculations suggested revolutionary ideas about the movement of celestial bodies, theories that challenged centuries of accepted wisdom. Yet when he shared these insights with his fellow scholars, they met his words with mockery and disdain. Wounded by their ridicule, William locked away his manuscripts and returned to teaching the accepted theories, despite the growing hollow feeling in his heart. Each night, as he gazed at the stars through his telescope, he felt the weight of unspoken truth heavy upon his soul. One evening, as he sat among his abandoned papers, a mysterious figure appeared in his chamber, an ancient sage whose eyes held the depth of countless ages. Without speaking, the sage guided William's attention to the night sky, showing him how the stars moved exactly as his calculations had predicted, though no one else could yet see this truth. Through this experience, you will discover a profound principle that governs all manifestation, the spiritual mastery that emerges when you no longer require external validation to maintain faith in invisible processes. Most seekers stumble here, demanding proof before belief, unaware that this very insistence creates an energetic barrier that prevents their desires from materializing. Consider Eleanor, whose heart yearned to create a legendary healing garden. She planted rare seeds in carefully prepared soil, yet as weeks turned to months with no sprouts emerging, doubt began to creep in. Her neighbors suggested she replant with common varieties, assuring her that at least she would have something to show for her efforts. But one night a dream showed her the invisible processes occurring beneath the soil, the slow awakening of ancient growth patterns that required perfect timing. Instead of abandoning her vision, she continued tending the apparently empty garden with complete devotion. She spoke to the unseen sprouts, watered the bare soil, and gave thanks for the abundant growth she could not yet witness with physical eyes. Then, precisely when she had transcended all need for proof, when she could tend her garden with perfect faith regardless of its appearance, the first shoots emerged. Within days, her garden filled with healing plants of such profound potency that word of their properties spread throughout the land. To activate this principle in your own practice, create an evidence transcendence ritual. Select one manifestation and commit to maintaining complete faith for 40 days, regardless of external circumstances. Each day, stand before a mirror with eyes closed, allowing yourself to feel absolute certainty while affirming, I transcend all need for physical evidence, knowing with unshakable conviction that the invisible process of creation is unfolding perfectly, bringing my desire into form through divine law, regardless of what my physical senses currently perceive. Chapter 25. The Quantum Field of Infinite Abundance. In the flickering light of an ancient laboratory, Frederick the alchemist bent over his workbench, surrounded by the remnants of his once vast fortune. His hands trembled as he mixed yet another formula, seeking the legendary philosopher's stone that would transform base metals into gold. Years of desperate searching had left him nearly destitute, his obsession consuming everything he once possessed. One night, exhausted from his labors, Frederick fell into a deep meditation. In this state, a profound vision unfolded before him. He saw himself standing in an infinite field of golden light, realizing with startling clarity that he had been like a fish in the ocean searching for water. The abundance he sought wasn't something to be created or discovered. It was the very medium in which he already existed. Through Frederick's story, you begin to understand the quantum nature of manifestation. Your consciousness isn't separate from abundance, but intimately intertwined with the field of all potential. Like a radio tuning to different frequencies, your state of being selects which possibilities materialize from this infinite field into physical form. When you grasp this truth, you recognize that the pursuit of wealth through external action alone is like trying to create the ocean drop by drop. Instead, abundance manifests naturally when you align your consciousness with the frequency of prosperity that already surrounds you. Consider Catherine, who spent years working tirelessly, yet remained trapped in scarcity. Each day, she toiled longer hours, took on more responsibilities, and implemented countless strategies for financial growth. Yet abundance remained elusive, always seeming just out of reach. Then one night she experienced a transformative dream. She saw herself standing on a beach, dying of thirst while endless waves of crystalline water lapped at her feet. A voice whispered, "You stand in an ocean of abundance, yet refuse to drink." Upon waking, Catherine understood. Her consciousness had been so fixated on the absence of prosperity that she couldn't perceive or receive the abundance constantly flowing around her. To activate this quantum understanding in your own life, create a daily quantum abundance field immersion. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed. Visualize yourself entering a crystalline sphere that represents the field of infinite potential. Within this sphere, experience every form of abundance as already present and available. Feel the reality of limitless prosperity surrounding you, permeating every cell of your being. Let this vibrant energy flow through your body like golden light, awakening your deepest knowing of abundance. Within this crystalline sphere of creation, you become one with the infinite field of possibility, where all forms of wealth naturally gravitate toward you. Carry this awareness with you throughout your day while affirming, "I consciously dwell in the quantum field of infinite abundance, naturally selecting and manifesting perfect prosperity through the resonance of my aligned consciousness rather than the striving of limited action." Let these words resonate in perfect harmony with the universal frequencies of abundance, knowing that as you maintain this elevated state of awareness, you become an irresistible magnet for prosperity in all its forms. Chapter 26, The Alchemy of Emotional Transmutation. In an ancient healing temple, Arthur moved among his patients, his once miraculous touch now failing to ease their suffering. Where divine energy had once flowed freely through his hands, bringing comfort and cure to countless souls, now only emptiness remained. His gift, renowned throughout the land, had vanished like morning mist. One night, as Arthur knelt in desperate prayer, an angelic presence filled his chamber with soft golden light. In this luminous vision, he saw the truth. His unacknowledged grief over his beloved wife's passing had created dense energetic barriers within his being, blocking the healing forces that once flowed through him effortlessly. Through this divine revelation, you begin to understand the sacred science of emotional alchemy. Each emotion carries a specific vibration that either enhances or impedes your manifestation field. When you suppress feelings deemed negative, you don't eliminate their influence. You merely drive their disruptive frequency deeper into your energetic body. Just as lead contains the potential for gold when properly transformed, every challenging emotion holds within it the seed of its higher expression. Fear, when alchemically transmuted, becomes discerning wisdom. Doubt transforms into healthy questioning that deepens understanding. Scarcity consciousness evolves into appreciation for divine timing. Consider Rebecca, whose artistic genius had earned her recognition throughout Europe until grief and anger over her brother's death left her unable to lift a brush. For months, she tried to suppress these turbulent emotions, believing them obstacles to her creativity. Yet the more she resisted, the deeper her creative paralysis became. Then in a dream, she received guidance to stop fighting her anger, to instead express it consciously through her art. As she began painting from this raw, honest place, something extraordinary occurred. The very emotions she had rejected became powerful creative forces, infusing her work with unprecedented depth and passion. Her paintings, born from transformed anger, became her most celebrated masterpieces. To harness this alchemical power in your own life, perform the emotional alchemy ritual. Identify the predominant emotion blocking your manifestation. Write it on dissolving paper using black ink. As you breathe deeply, visualize this emotion as energy transforming from dense matter into pure light. Place the paper in water blessed with rose essence and moonlight, while affirming with unwavering conviction, I master the sacred alchemy of emotional transmutation, transforming all lower vibrations into pure creative energy that manifests my desires with perfect precision and accelerated timing. As the paper dissolves, witness the physical representation of your emotional transformation taking place before your eyes. Feel the dense energy of that which once blocked you dissolving into the infinite possibility of pure creative force. Know that through this sacred act, you have initiated a profound shift in your energetic signature, one that will continue to unfold in perfect, divine timing. Chapter 27. Beyond the Veil of Appearance. In the rolling hills beyond the old village stood a tract of barren land, its dusty soil cracked and lifeless under the relentless sun. Here walked Eliza, her heart heavy with disappointment as she surveyed the seemingly worthless inheritance left by her father. Already she had drafted papers to sell the property for whatever meager sum it might fetch. As she stood contemplating this decision, an elderly stranger appeared beside her, his eyes twinkling with ancient wisdom. Without speaking, he knelt and placed his hand upon the parched earth, motioning for her to do the same. When she followed his example, he guided her to close her eyes and feel beyond the surface. In that moment, Eliza perceived what physical sight had failed to reveal, the subtle vibration of moving water deep beneath the ground. Following the stranger's guidance, she discovered an abundant freshwater spring flowing unseen beneath the barren surface. Within months, this hidden treasure transformed the worthless tract into the region's most valuable estate, its waters bringing life and prosperity to the entire area. Through this timeless teaching, you begin to understand the profound truth about perception and reality. What your physical senses report as real is merely the materialized echo of past consciousness, like light from distant stars reaching your eyes long after the actual event. True reality, the perfect divine pattern, exists in a dimension beyond physical sight, waiting to be recognized by those who develop spiritual perception. Consider Jonathan, whose merchant vessel found itself caught in a raging storm. As massive waves threatened to overwhelm his ship, Fear and logic demanded he abandon course and seek any port of refuge. Yet in that desperate hour, his inner vision opened to perceive beyond the tempest. There, just beyond the wall of wind and water, he saw with perfect clarity the calm harbor and unprecedented opportunity that awaited. This glimpse of divine reality gave him courage to maintain his heading through the storm, leading to discoveries that transformed his fortunes forever. To develop this spiritual perception in your own life, practice the divine perception ritual daily. Select a challenging situation currently manifesting in your experience. Close your eyes and breathe deeply, consciously shifting your awareness beyond surface appearances. Feel into the perfect pattern already present in the unified field, waiting to emerge into physical form. Allow your consciousness to rest in that sacred space where all possibilities exist simultaneously. Feel the resonance of divine truth vibrating through your entire being as you attune to this higher frequency of awareness. Complete this practice by affirming with deep conviction and unwavering faith. I see beyond the veil of temporary appearances to the divine reality already present, aligning my consciousness with the perfect manifestation emerging through the sacred law of divine expression. In this holy instant, I become one with the infinite intelligence that orchestrates all creation. Chapter 28. The Sacred Technology of Vibration. In the mist-shrouded mountains of an ancient land, George wandered lost among temple ruins, his once promising music career having crumbled to silence. As night fell, ethereal tones began emanating from deep within a hidden sanctuary, drawing him through archways carved with mysterious symbols of sound and light. Inside, he discovered an ageless chamber where crystalline pillars resonated with pure tones that seemed to emerge from the fabric of creation itself. As he stood transfixed, these frequencies began arranging themselves into patterns, revealing how all of existence operates through precise vibrational harmony. Through this mystical initiation, you now understand that manifestation functions exactly like music, requiring consistent resonance rather than sporadic effort. Just as a single pure note must be maintained without wavering to create true harmony, your vibrational frequency must remain steady to generate stable manifestation. Your emotional state serves as an exact indicator of your current vibrational output. When you feel joy, abundance, and possibility, you resonate at the frequency that attracts corresponding experiences. When doubt, lack, or frustration color your emotions, these lower frequencies manifest matching circumstances with equal precision. Consider Amelia, who exhausted herself chasing happiness through endless external changes, new jobs, relationships, locations, only to find each achievement brought temporary satisfaction before the old discontent returned. Then one night, a profound dream vision revealed happiness as a specific frequency she could generate independently of circumstances. When she learned to maintain this vibration consistently, her outer world naturally reorganized itself to reflect her new resonance. To master this principle yourself, establish a daily vibrational tuning ritual. Begin with physical sound, humming, singing bowls, or sacred music, to experience pure resonance directly. Then practice tuning your emotional frequency to exactly match your desired manifestation. Feel into the precise vibration of what you seek, whether abundance, love, or creative expression. Let your entire being resonate with that frequency until it becomes your natural state. Carry a small tuning fork or bell as a constant reminder to maintain your chosen vibration throughout your daily activities. When you find yourself slipping into lower frequencies, use this sacred tool to realign yourself with your intentional resonance. Complete each tuning session by affirming with unwavering conviction, I master the sacred technology of vibration, consistently maintaining the exact frequency that resonates with my desires, knowing physical manifestation must follow through the perfect law of energetic harmony. As I hold this divine frequency steady within my being, the universe conspires to reflect my inner state in all outer circumstances. Chapter 29: The Cosmic Harvest of Non-Attachment. In the sun-dappled hills of an ancient wine country, Edward paced anxiously between his precious grapevines. Each day he inspected every cluster, adjusting their position, trimming leaves, and fretting over their development. His wines had once been celebrated throughout the region, but lately, despite his increasing efforts, their quality had mysteriously declined. One misty morning, a silver-haired stranger appeared among the vines. Without speaking, the visitor gestured toward two sections of the vineyard. One showed signs of Edward's constant intervention: leaves trimmed, grapes meticulously positioned, stems tied and adjusted. The other remained untouched, growing wild and free according to nature's wisdom. When harvest arrived, the untouched vines produced grapes of exceptional sweetness, while the overwatched fruit had grown bitter and stunted. Through this sacred teaching, you now understand that attachment to outcomes creates an energetic interference that actually prevents your desires from manifesting in their highest form. Just as Edward's obsessive monitoring hindered his grapes' natural development, your anxious attachment to specific results disturbs the perfect unfoldment of universal intelligence. Non-attachment differs fundamentally from detachment. Where detachment implies disconnection or indifference, non-attachment maintains clear intention while releasing all grasping energy that would distort the manifestation process. This subtle state allows you to remain fully present with your desires while trusting the divine timing and form of their expression. Consider Margaret, a gifted healer who exhausted herself pursuing recognition and status within her field. She attended every conference, submitted countless articles, and constantly promoted her work. Yet acclaim eluded her. Only when illness forced her to abandon all concern for status did she discover the joy of serving purely from love. Paradoxically, this release of attachment attracted the very recognition she had previously sought, as her authentic power naturally drew others to her work. To cultivate this transformative state of non-attachment, create your own sacred harvest ritual. Begin by symbolically planting seeds representing your desires in consecrated soil. Establish a daily practice of tending these seeds with loving attention while consciously releasing all attachment to their specific manifestation. Complete each tending session by affirming, I cultivate my desires with clear intention while releasing all attachment to outcomes. Knowing this paradoxical stance creates the perfect conditions for the universe to deliver my cosmic harvest in its most abundant form. Let this sacred affirmation resonate through your being as you envision golden light infusing your planted seeds. Feel the profound peace that comes from trusting in divine timing, while maintaining unwavering faith in the infinite possibilities that await. This delicate balance of focused intention and spiritual surrender opens channels through which universal abundance naturally flows, drawing to you blessings beyond what your limited mind could conceive. Chapter 30: The Eternal Cycle of Divine Abundance. In the ancient city of Viridian, Isabella meticulously counted her gold coins each night, storing them in hidden chambers beneath her mansion. Though her wealth grew, a subtle anxiety gnawed at her spirit, driving her to accumulate ever more while sharing ever less. One night, a dream transported her to a sacred pool high in the mountains. There, a luminous presence showed her two vessels of water. The first, sealed and stagnant, grew murky and lifeless. The second, flowing freely through channels into the valley below, created gardens, sustained life, and returned multiplied through countless streams, feeding back to its source. Through this timeless teaching, you now understand that prosperity operates as a flowing current rather than a static possession. When you attempt to hold and hoard abundance, you actually restrict its natural expansion. Just as water must flow to remain pure and life-giving, prosperity must circulate to maintain its vital force. The eternal cycle of giving and receiving creates a perpetual stream of abundance that expands with each circulation. By entering this flow through conscious giving, you open yourself to receive at levels impossible through mere accumulation. This represents a fundamental shift from seeing prosperity as something to gather and protect to recognizing it as a current you align with through active participation. Consider Alexander, whose vast kingdom once flourished through generous circulation of its resources. When fear gripped his heart, he began locking away the royal treasures in fortified vaults. As the flow of prosperity ceased, his kingdom withered. Only through a mystical encounter beside a sacred river did he witness how the water's constant giving and receiving created endless abundance, while damming its flow created scarcity downstream. To enter this divine circulation, establish your own sacred flow ritual. Each day, consciously give something of value from a place of abundance rather than sacrifice. This giving may be material, but can also include time, attention, appreciation, or any resource that flows through you. Begin with small offerings that feel natural and authentic. Perhaps a genuine compliment, a moment of undivided attention, or a gesture of kindness that springs from your heart's overflow. As you deepen this practice, you'll discover countless ways to contribute to life's grand exchange. Create a ceremony acknowledging both the blessings you receive and those you share, affirming, "I joyfully participate in the eternal cycle of divine abundance, knowing that as I circulate rather than accumulate prosperity, I enter an endless flow that expands my capacity to receive beyond all previous limitations." Let this ritual become as natural as breathing, for just as your breath must flow both in and out to sustain life, so too must prosperity circulate freely to generate true abundance. Through this sacred practice, you align yourself with the universe's fundamental rhythm of giving and receiving. If you enjoyed this audiobook, I created a free ebook version for you. You can download it using the link in the pinned comment. Conclusion. As you reach this sacred threshold, you stand at the gateway between the old way of desperate striving and the enlightened path of divine allowing. Through these timeless teachings, a profound transformation has occurred within your energetic field, shifting you from one who chases manifestation to one who magnetically attracts it through the power of sacred surrender. The ancient wisdom you have absorbed goes far beyond mere intellectual understanding. It has awakened the dormant knowing that has always resided in your soul. You now recognize that every moment of apparent delay or resistance served to prepare you for this awakening, guiding you to release the exhausting pattern of forced manifestation. In your transformed state, you understand that the universe has never been withholding your good, but rather waiting for you to align with its perfect operation through the mystical art of non-action. As you integrate these teachings into your daily experience, notice how circumstances naturally reorganize themselves around your new energetic signature. Watch and wonder as opportunities, resources, and fulfillment begin flowing toward you with an ease that once seemed impossible, Remember that this sacred knowledge simply awakens what your spirit has always known, that struggle and strain were never the path to manifestation, but rather the very forces preventing it. Each time you feel yourself slipping back into the pattern of anxious pursuit, return to these teachings and recall the profound truth. In the moment of genuine release, you activate the ancient law that brings all desires to your door through the perfect operation of reversed effort. Let each manifestation become not an endpoint, but a gateway to the next level of spiritual expansion, for this is the eternal spiral of evolution that is your divine birthright. If you enjoyed this exclusive audiobook, I handpicked this next book which will change your life.